If you've never grown houseplants on rocks, you're missing out. Oh yeah, usually people are shocked when I tell them how many plants can actually just live on rocks instead of having to go in soil. And of course your first reaction is like, Tanner, what do you mean? You can't grow plants on rocks, they need nutrients. Well, the truth of the matter is, even the soil that you get at the garden center or wherever you get your houseplant soil, it doesn't really have any nutrients in it. And that's because the soil that you're getting from the store is mostly comprised of peat moss or cocoa peat, perlite, some sort of aggregate. All of these things don't really have any nutrients anyway. So the only nutrients that your houseplant soil is getting is actually coming from some of the fertilizer that they would add into the soil. You're just going to be adding the nutrients anyway. So it doesn't really matter that your rocks don't have any nutrient value, because you're going to be adding that into the water and the roots are going to suck it up like that. You can see on this one, the water level is actually quite low. So the roots of the plants are actually exposed to a lot of airflow. That's super, super important, because your roots don't necessarily care about being in soil. They actually mostly care about nutrients, water, and air, oxygen, right? Just add the nutrients into the water. You have the water, obviously, check, and then you have plenty of airflow because the roots are not all submerged under the water. And even if the roots were all submerged under the water, there's typically enough oxygen in water to keep roots alive, as long as the water is being oxygenated properly and often enough. The lava rock is porous, so it sucks up the moisture, so the whole stone is wet, just a perfect environment for roots to grow all over. And as long as the entire rock isn't submerged, yeah, the roots are going to get plenty of oxygen, they're going to get the nutrients from the water, and like I said, they've got plenty of oxygen. So that is actually how these setups work. And I hesitate to say that all houseplants can live in a situation like this. We call it semi-hydroponic in this case. That being said, I don't know of any plants that can't live this way. I've done it on tons of plants. I've kept them for years and years successfully, and I think it's just a fun way to be creative with your plants. You know, you're not sequestered to just soil. You can do things that are a little bit more interesting, and actually keeping your plants like this is actually very low maintenance. Early on, what you're going to notice is there's going to be a little bit of root die-off. Your plants might get a little bit of stress as they sort of acclimate to this different environment. You know, remember, repotting your houseplants is stressful on them no matter which medium you're going into or out of, right? So they're naturally going to shed some leaves, they're going to be a little bit unhappy for a little bit, but as long as you're giving them proper light and as long as your water level isn't too high, you're going to be perfectly fine. They're going to rebound, start putting on new leaves, they're going to start growing new roots. Also with the clear glass, you have to clean them out once in a while. All I do is I take the plants out maybe every 3 or 4 months, and I will boil the stones. So I will actually take the rocks out, put them in a pot of boiling water, boil them for a few minutes. That's going to get all the stains off and whatnot. And then I clean the glass out just with some whatever cleaning product you like to use. I just use a vinegar because it's really easy, disinfects everything, and you're not going to get any like harsh bleach chemicals or cleaning chemicals on your plants and risk a cross-contamination when you actually put them back in. So that's all I do. As the water evaporates with this, I will fill the water back up. So I just make sure about half of the rocks are getting touched with water. That way the water is going to be sucked up and it's going to transfer from rock to rock to rock, keeping them all nice and wet so the roots have something to get moisture from. I put in a liquid soluble organic fertilizer, which is good for all of the plants. That's another thing that's really important for plants like this. You might not be able to get the perfect fertilizer for all the plants in your arrangement, but even a general purpose or a really diluted general purpose fertilizer or an organic water soluble fertilizer is going to be fine to leave in there year round. Like I said, as long as they're getting proper light to be able to use that fertilizer. That is how plants like this survive. This is how they thrive. This is why you can put plants on rocks and it grows perfectly fine. It's actually super, super easy. I definitely think you should give it a try.